Hello and welcome back to Ticker Symbol Live. Happy Friday, everyone. I hope this market week has been treating you well. As always, we're here to look at ARK Invest's daily buys and sells to see if we can see how they're investing in our future today. So I figured I'd switch things up since today is a Friday, and we would look at a weekly view of ARK Invest's holdings instead of a daily view and just see what's been going on throughout the week. And then, of course, we will get into their most interesting buy that we haven't covered for the week. Spoiler alert, we've been doing a great job covering their biggest buys and sells for this trading week. We've talked about TWLO, we've talked about TWLO, we've talked about some other great companies like Pinduoduo that they've been holding, and I have one more on deck for you for today. So let's head over to the ARK Reactor and we'll just dive right into it. You can see a lot more colors on the screen today because I've switched it to a weekly view. So this is covering the whole trading week. I have things ordered by ARK rank. So in terms of their biggest holdings, so Tesla number 1, Square number 2, Teladoc number 3, down and down the list, and the table matches that order. And you can see that some of their biggest buys by percent increase in shares for their biggest ranking holdings are Teladoc, which we covered this week, TWLO, which we covered this week, and Twilio, which is the topic of today's video. If we go down and down the list, we will see that they have purchased anywhere between 2 and 5% of certain stocks, with certain outliers, right? So 150% increase in cash over their 5 funds. Remember, they can't hold that much cash as actively traded ETFs, so you can see large percentage swings. But most of their cash is being held in cash-like positions. That I will show you they have also been spending cash. As we keep scrolling down, we can see some meaningful trades, 11% in NVIDIA. I am excited to make an NVIDIA video. They've been selling out of some of their Deere stock. And if we go down and down the list, you can see that pattern repeat. And they've sold some of their biggest market cap positions, right? So they're out of Google right now. FLIR got acquired. They're out of Okta right now, and they're out of Rockwell Automation because of what we saw earlier when we talked about their cash positions and them having a big earnings miss. So if we go all the way back up, we can see that their highest conviction trades, or their highest conviction positions with the most meaningful increases, Teladoc, TWLO, and Twilio. So Twilio pulled a sneaky on me. I looked at their investor presentation, and the truth is, it's not very well set up for this format. So what I went ahead and did was I decided to make a presentation of my own. So I hope you enjoy and bear with me as I fumble through many different Twilio documents in an effort to put a coherent story together about why this is such a good company and ARK Invest's 12th biggest holding overall. So let me show you this really quick. Twilio is the 12th biggest holding overall. It is number 12 in ARKK. It is number 10 in ARKW, and it is number 17 in ARKF. ARK has a total of $920 million in Twilio, so almost, approaching $1 billion in this company. This is not a small holding. And again, it is their 12th biggest position overall. So it sneaks under all of our radars because it's not in the top 10. It's only in the top 10 in one fund. So when you go on the landing page of ARK's ETFs, you often don't see Twilio, but it's right there. It's just under that position in 3 different funds, making it one of ARK's biggest holdings overall. So that's the power of using data like this and just getting a wide picture view, right? Here's a $1 billion position that ARK holds. That's just not really on any of their landing pages, which is why it's worth digging through the data. So let's talk about Twilio. Let me unshare the screen and let me share my kind of janky investor relations deck. I am going to mention this just one extra time. I am not a financial advisor. I am certainly not associated with Twilio in any way. I do not hold any Twilio stock other than holding ARKW, which contains Twilio. I don't represent Twilio, and I'm doing my best here, but I want to be clear. If you're somebody from Twilio watching this, I am not affiliated with you in any way, and I'm genuinely doing my best as an outside investor looking in. Excellent. Let's talk about Twilio. What is Twilio? So Twilio is a omni-channel communications platform built for big businesses. And what they do is they help big businesses transition to the cloud in a way that lets them communicate to their audiences in a frictionless omni-channel way. What does the word omni-channel mean? It means you're able to get messages from a company by any channel and every channel. So when you see an ad on Instagram and then you go to a website, you click on it, you go to a website, you purchase, and then they give you that receipt in an email or a text or a Facebook message, right, through the actual Facebook Messenger. That's an omni-channel experience, right? You're using multiple channels to provide a holistic brand experience throughout that customer journey. And for retail, I think we all kind of get it at least, right? So, you're using a store on Shopify, you found them on Instagram, or you found them on Facebook, or you found them on Reddit, or whatever. And then you're getting that transaction done through the website or even through Instagram, right? Like you can make a purchase through Instagram now. You pay them through some separate channel. You get your confirmation, your receipt through some separate channel. You get reminders from your next order on an even different channel. Sometimes they text you, right? Sometimes you get a follow-up phone call. All of those are different methods of communication. Another word for a method of communication is a channel. So when people say omni-channel, they mean they are willing to communicate with you however you already communicate. What they're trying to do is not barge into your cell phone. They're trying to be with you where you already are. That's the goal, to reduce friction, to increase engagement, to make things as smooth as possible by just covering all their bases. So when we say omni-channel, that's what we're referring to at a high level. Great. So what Twilio focuses on is building that out for businesses so that businesses can focus on their business instead of having to build this cloud-enabled giant stack focused on customer communication, right? So that's what's going on here. And the focus again is on customer engagement, to connect with your customers everywhere they want to interact with you. That's what I was kind of just saying, right? From text messages to emails to phone calls to video to intelligent chat bots, right? So you put in a ticket and a smart bot answers your service query before kicking it off to a human, and they eliminate a lot of noise by doing that, right? Hey, that was handled by an automated bot. We didn't need to pay a human to take that call. And then they want to capture that again over that entire customer journey. So forward-looking marketing, getting in front of people, customer service, so taking care of people through, during, and after their actual purchase, and then operations for other services, which is the heart of what I want to talk about, right? And then I'll just scroll down here and show you they're building communications apps easily on a developer-trusted platform. So the trick with Twilio is they've built their business in a way where they can custom tailor and scale solutions as needed to different market fits, right, across different verticals. So instead of shopping, think about healthcare, think about finance, think about all of the other great applications where this is going to be increasingly useful, cough, TeleDoc, right, and not just online shopping. And this is looking a little small on my screen, so what I'll do is I'll just blow it up and let these scroll by for a second. SMS notifications, an SMS support chatbot. So, you can text a company a service request. They can interpret that on their end using AI and chatbots, and they can respond via text without a human on their end ever touching it. Blocking spam calls, incredibly important for a company. Notifications across different channels. So a service request on one channel or a push notification to multi-channels, right? Agent auto responses, the list goes on and on. And so the idea here is building a tech stack that enables all sorts of different forms of communication across different channels to automate a lot of things that used to have to be done by people as part of a service, communications, marketing, and outreach department in big companies, right? These are all things that are scrolling by that used to cost man hours, time, money, right, technology to do, and Twilio is trying to tackle them all in a smart way. Okay, so we kind of get it for stores. Let's talk about this chart. So this chart is the one that stood out to me. This is part of their engagement deck. So Twilio has a bunch of great presentations. Their investor presentation is very focused on their finances. I wish it was a little more focused on their technology, their vision, and maybe to their credit, I just may have not found the right one, right? But in this presentation, which I read, one thing really stood out to me. Highly regulated industries increased their digital engagement on Twilio by more than 100% year over year, right? So let's stop talking about shopping for a second and let's start talking about the public sector, healthcare, financial services, and political, right? I'm actually going to stay away from political, but I'd like to talk about healthcare and financial services. And one thing you'll notice is these graphs are going almost in like uniformly up, right? There are certain big dips in the public sector. That's just probably as news, as things open back up, close back down, whether you're a school and you're moving physical, digital, or you're a political, you're part of a political party or a political channel and you're doing that as well. But financial services and healthcare are transitioning to digital. And the argument I've been making on this channel the whole time is that transition is not going to reverse in the future. As people understand the convenience of digital, they're going to keep doing things digitally even as things open up physically. And that's not a blanket statement. I'm not saying they're going to do that 100% of the time, but the net amount of transactions across all these industries digitally will increase and not keep decreasing back down to pre-pandemic levels, right? So the world will be increasingly digital forever, right? Twilio is enabling that. Twilio is one of the things that enables other businesses to do this, right? So that's what you're seeing here. So when you see numbers in Twilio's investor decks, when you go read them, and they say something like 6 trillion interactions digitally in the last year, realize that's because Twilio sits in that layer that enables other companies to do this. So, every communication from, I'm using TeleDoc as an example. I'm not actually saying TeleDoc uses Twilio. But if they did, all of TeleDoc's digital communications, if Twilio owns that, Twilio's counting those numbers. And then you can imagine every company that Twilio enables to do this, right, counts as a Twilio interaction because Twilio is one layer below that. They're a B2B primarily customer enablement company. Great. So this is the start of the talk, right? These other sectors, not just shopping, are increasing digital big time. And we see that with TeleDoc. We see that with companies like Square, etc. Right? So I watched this healthcare talk. I thought it was pretty interesting. Healthcare is going digital. It's an important thing to understand for multiple stocks within ARK funds, TeleDoc being a prime example. I encourage you to go watch the TeleDoc video. And here's what I want to talk about. Legacy systems are prolific in healthcare, and switching to the cloud is an undertaking that can be taken on in stages. Thank goodness, also switching to the cloud is a very hard thing to do. When you're a legacy healthcare company and you're a hospital, you're not, your IT department may be good, but like you have a lot of secure medical data. You have a lot of secure financial data. You have a lot of challenges with all these different compliances of how do I move to the cloud, but make sure I'm meeting all of the standards and compliances and all these other things in healthcare that don't just let me make a Google sheet, right? Like I have to do all these things about how I store my patient data and business data because I'm a hospital, right? So moving to the cloud is tough, and being able to do that in chunks where each chunk is secure is even tougher, right? So when it comes to health, a notification or text message is more than a message. It's a reminder to patients on how to take care of themselves and how healthcare providers help patients manage their care. So if you make a oops in a text message as a hospital to a patient, you can be liable for stuff, right? An accidental reminder to take their medication that causes them to, take the medication one too many times, for example, is a clear bad thing to happen because of a hospital. Hey, I got this notification twice, so I took my medication twice. That's bad, right? In the healthcare field, messaging, SMS, and chat have different engagement rules and regulations. For literally exactly what I just said as one case, right? It's important to use an API that's flexible enough to let you build the exact system you need as a finance institution, as a healthcare institution, etc. And with high costs of healthcare, providers have to keep costs low. So they have to do this in a fiscally efficient manner. Or said another way, they got to get a lot of bang for their buck. So what does the future of patient communication hold, right? As adoption of SMS continues to rise, and I would argue every digital channel, new engagement models will reduce costs and personalize member experiences. Thanks to technologies such as voice activation, AI, sentiment analysis, and bots, patients will be able to text simple questions and receive personalized answers right away. And this is the thing I want to harp on. Personalization is the future of the digital era. period. When Netflix is customizing their menu to you, right, by customizing everything from their thumbnails to their categories to their actual recommendations to you, that's personalization. They understand that you as an individual need to have your engagement maximized, not just you as part of your demographic or you as part of their overall customer base. They are using AI to cater their platform to you. And the Netflix you see is very different from the Netflix I see. And what Twilio is doing is they're doing that in the communication space for each business, for those businesses' core demographics, right? So how you ask questions, how you interface with that system, how you are engaging with it is determining how it engages back with you. It's personalized. I am reading all these comments. I see a lot of great questions about cash. I see a lot of great questions about like their cash-like positions. I'm going to keep going on Twilio. I think Twilio is a fascinating stock and one of the stocks that they're clearly spending their cash on, right? Cool. So let's talk about Twilio for healthcare, right? Twilio for healthcare offers omni-channel personalization. That's what we kind of talked about, right? And the idea is to create meaningful connections with patients in a way that's compliant with all of those things I just mentioned, right? Securely storing and using patient data while enabling this cloud-based communications omni-channel experience, right? That's tough for hospitals, especially hospitals who weren't thinking about this 5 or 10 years ago, and especially hospitals who weren't ready for the demand for this, 1 or 2 years ago. And I'm using hospitals as a broad term, by the way. All I mean when I say hospitals is any healthcare institution. So, think clinics, think hospitals, think individual doctors, etc. And so they're enabling telehealth, right? When you talk about communications, but not for shopping, you get into these things like Teladoc's telehealth, right? Healthcare is meeting patients and providers where they are, at home, on their phones, through email, through SMS text messaging, through FaceTime, right? I don't know if literally FaceTime, but FaceTime equivalents. So improving patient access, eliminating frustration wait times, and empowering physicians and providers to use their time better, right? That's what they're enabling. Healthcare is never one size fits all, and with Twilio, you have channel choices and the ability to rapidly and efficiently respond to a real need. And now we're talking about medical needs, not just shopping, but like an actual need. Hey, I need attention now. This is a medical inquiry. Highly personalized solutions, again, trying to increase that engagement through the digital space because we're reducing our physical footprint, right? So about trusted communications, the world's most reliable network. Now we're talking back about data security and all these compliances and all that. And they have amazing medical use cases. So Twilio for healthcare, self-service, programmable messaging in voice, conducting one-on-one or one-to-many videos, verification and authorization, which is very important, right? You need to authorize that you're this person. We verified your identity. You're allowed to make these medical decisions. You're supposed to be on this private phone call, right, where we're talking about personal information. The list goes on, right? And then we can flip the script and say, well, if Twilio can handle things like healthcare, not just shopping, what else can they do, right? Well, it turns out that one of their biggest things is finance. And now we're flipping the script again. AI and machine learning. You can boost sales and productivity with deep, personalized customer insights. And so this is getting more into my background, which is in AI and deep learning. And then banks that develop customer insights can increase sales productivity as much as 40%. That number, that lift, is coming from me talking to you as if I know you, instead of me talking to you as if you're a faceless customer and just a number on a spreadsheet. Follow interactions across platforms, that's that omni-channel experience, by integrating your CRM with Twilio. I'm blanking on what CRM stands for, but it's basically the system you use to keep track of who your customers are. It's your customer blank system, and I'm just forgetting what that stands for. But, the goal here is you're managing your customer list, you're understanding who each are. This is where you keep all your notes on your prospects, your actual customers, the customers that have turned into, big clients of yours versus are on the fence, who you have to follow up with and how, right? If my boss is watching this, he's going to slam me later for forgetting that. Make processes like account onboarding, trade processing, and financial reporting automated. Customer relationship management system. Thank you, chat. Just calling this out. You're my hero, Shane. Thank you. Customer relationship management system, right? Uh, Making processes like account onboarding, trade processing, and financial reporting automated and customer specific with real-time analytics. And again, the point here is these are all things that used to be done by humans. They used to take, and sometimes human experts, right? People pay a lot of money to interpret this data and know how to respond and how to format that response and which channel to push that response through. And all of that is now happening through artificial intelligence and tech-enabled communications by Twilio and Twilio's products and solutions. And so it's doing this personalization for you. It's understanding who the client is using data and saying, here's how we should format it all. Here's the channel we should package it in. Here's what it's got to look like for this person to maximize their engagement. Whether that engagement means pushing them to a new sale, pushing them to a new product, or just keeping them happy on the existing service they're in. Wow, this is really catered to me exactly, right? Create engaging personal banking experiences with customers, etc., right? So talked about healthcare. Let me scroll back up to the healthcare. Talked about finance. We can skip the marketing one. This is definitely the traditional commerce, enabled thinking about how do I capture every piece of the customer journey for commerce. Equivalently, how do I do it for finance? How do I do it for healthcare? And then, of course, they have a million awesome use cases about who is using Twilio: Lyft, Airbnb, Box, Salesforce, Yelp. These are big companies using Twilio in interesting ways, collecting survey responses, keeping restaurants full, using two-way SMS to say, hey, are you confirming your reservation? Are you going to be here an hour? All those SMS interactions where you just type one letter and the business knows how to interpret that as I'm confirming my reservation for this time on this date at this table, or hey, I'm not going to make it, free up that table and sell it to somebody else. Zendesk, Dell, Twitter, Twitch, we can read these all day. And the point is every big business has a need, or usually multiple needs, for these types of big communication enablement systems, because they're trying to automatically interact and engage with their customer base way more. And you just can't pay people to do that. This needs to be an automated, AI-driven process. And finally, we can look at, so this is another page of cases, but it's specific to healthcare. So I was reading this just trying to get an understanding of, hey, how is communications different for healthcare and finance, where the information is more private and privileged and needs to be secured in a different way because of compliances and regulations and all that. And the thing that impressed me a lot about reading this was understanding, hey, they have a lot of use cases in healthcare and life sciences, finance, and other the public sector, all these other applications that are not just e-commerce data, not just shopping data, not just financial transactions, right? So that's one thing that really impressed me about Twilio is they have many different verticals with many different requirements that they're doing a great job integrating with. And then finally, as a result of everything I just said, we can take a look at their finances, right? So this is their Investor Day presentation, which I was going through in preparation for making this. And they have a lot of great finances. They're a company that's definitely on the up and up. They're definitely a beneficiary of the pandemic, but, they were definitely a beneficiary of the digital era before the pandemic. They were talking about omni-channel experiences and moving big legacy businesses to the digital era way before 2020. In fact, here's their cohort analysis since 2011, right? So what you're seeing on the screen is every color here is the year that big business was acquired, right? So in 2011, they acquired everyone in 2011. And here's how that blue cohort has grown over time. So the people that they acquired in 2011 have stuck with them and grown their business with Twilio since then. The ones that they acquired in 2012, that bar starts in 2012, and you can see the bar get thicker and thicker over time, 2013, so on and so forth. And the point of this is just to show you that every year they're acquiring customers that they are growing their business with as the years go by. And as a result, that stack looks like an exponential curve because, over time, people are like, I love this. I want to engage more with Twilio because Twilio helps me engage more with my core customer bases, personalize my communications to my various customer cohorts, grab more engagement from my best customers, understand what's working, understand what's not, and then I, as a business, get to focus on my business while Twilio handles that omni-channel communication about my business. They're my, help desk. They're my, automated first-tier help desk. They're my automated response to the easy questions I get 100 times. They're my, communication. Let me track this through email, SMS, Instagram, Facebook, and the more application-specific channels in case of healthcare and finance, right? So on and so forth. And then that lets me breathe and go back to just focusing on my own business, right? Increasing the actual thing they're engaging with and letting Twilio handle that. There are a lot of great questions about, what is the main competitor to Twilio? I'm sure they're out there. I honestly am very new to this space, so Twilio seems to be doing things in a very omni-channel, holistic way, right? The thing I want to share about Twilio and make sure that's coming clear is they are I am looking at them and I see a toolkit, right? I see a bunch of different tools that they can piece together because they're built in a way that is pieceable together. I wish I could say that a little more elegantly, but they're really a toolkit that lets you customize your customer engagement and communication needs to your business, right? They're not trying to be one size fits all. So the main competitors to Twilio, why I'm saying it like that, is I think it depends on what space you're in. I think there are going to be different competitors to Twilio in healthcare, in finance, in e-commerce. I'm not so sure it's simple because Twilio sits one level down, right? They're enabling businesses to do these things, but they're not an e-commerce business. They're not a healthcare business. They're not a finance business. They're a piece of a tech stack. They're a piece of a tech stack that enables many verticals. So they're going to have lots of partial competitors in lots of different spaces, if that makes sense. Fantastic Twilio. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I hope people are enjoying this one. It's usually a little more prepared, so I apologize if you find this one a little janky. I really appreciate this nice comment. Any idea of the competition or if they have a secure moat? So I think their moat comes from the fact that they're just executing very well. And I recognize that people don't really think of that as a moat. I tend to disagree with that idea that a moat needs to be like a patent, for example. And my challenge to you is find another company like Twilio that is meeting all these tough compliance regulations. HIPAA compliance isn't easy. HIPAA compliance for like 2 gajillion transactions is even harder, right? Because the more compliances you have to have, and if you ever have one breach, the more that affects your business, right? So Twilio's compliance department must be off the chain. You know what I mean? Because they're handling literally trillions of interactions and they're staying compliant. They're up with all the regulations. They're doing all these things. In my opinion, actually being able to execute an omni-channel toolbox in all these different hard verticals, again, finance and healthcare, is a moat. It's not easy to do that. And when you're doing something that's not easily replicatable, repeatable by another company, you have a moat, right? Like that's my argument that Twilio's existence is its moat, that it's been able to actually execute this. Tesla's existence is its moat. Like you have to catch up to actually Tesla's battery chemistry to cross its moat. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter that it's giving away its patents or that, people can actually look at the chemistry of their batteries and be like, I can build that. They have to actually do that, right? So, and they have to do that in a way that catches them up to whatever Tesla's doing next. So Twilio's other competitors have to do what Twilio is doing now and what Twilio is about to release next, right? Like, otherwise, why would I move off of Twilio? AWS, for sure. So, like, AWS is definitely the right. So, sorry, let me read the question. I apologize. What about AWS, Amazon Web Services, as a competitor? I agree. This is already, you're probably thinking about the right space for the competitors. Amazon Web Services is a monumental monster, right? I would be lying to you if I told you I understood all of Amazon's web services. Their list of services is crazy big. And I'm sure some of them compete with some pieces of Twilio, right? But let me say this. if your competition space is Amazon Web Services, you have a good business because Amazon Web Services enables a large portion of the internet, right? Amazon Web Services is what a bunch of the internet sits on top of. It is one layer down, and that's what's special about Twilio. It's enabling all sorts of businesses. Amazon Web Services is enabling all sorts of businesses. So I agree. This is a great question, and whatever the answer is, if you're comparing Twilio to Amazon Web Services, Twilio is worth reading up on, researching on, doing your own due diligence, and then deciding if it's an investment you want to hold. Because the magic is it's enabling a lot of companies. It's not one company to invest in. You're investing in the comms solution for a wide variety of companies. I'll just throw this back up there. Investing in Amazon is great because you're getting Amazon, the e-com company, and Amazon Web Services, and Amazon Kindle, right? Like all the things that they actually do and make themselves, Amazon Fire and all that, in one company. So you're looking for this generational winner as you're getting a lot of pieces of the puzzle. Microsoft is another one, not as well performing as Amazon, the stock, but the company itself is incredible doing these same things. Google is another one. And so when we're talking about Twilio as a company like that, that's what should be piquing your interest. Hey, this is a internet giant in the omni-channel comms space, right? And again, this is not a small holding for ARK Invest. They have almost $1 billion with a B dollars in Twilio. It is their 12th biggest position overall, and it sits near the top 10 in 3 different funds. So why am I trying to hype it a little more than oh, hey, it's just another company? Because again, remember, ARK Invest is a platform investor. They're investing in companies that are building platforms that other companies will then leverage. Think about all the businesses Tesla will enable when it automates transportation eventually, right? Think about all the businesses that sit on top of Square becoming a platform by being their digital banking system. Think about Teladoc and all of the different medical field things virtualizing that part of the experience enables. So you have telemedicine as a platform, right? Twilio is enabling communications as a platform. You stand on top of Twilio with your business's communication solution. So I hope that gives you a sense of why I think, in my opinion, not financial advice, ARK Invest that I'm not associated with is investing in Twilio, right? So hopefully that kind of clears it up. Take 1 or 2 more questions. We're already over 30 minutes, so I just want to be respectful of your time. And again, I appreciate your patience with me. I didn't get a presentation deck for this one, right? So I had to make one. So I appreciate you allowing me to bumble through it for the day. And I see some +1s to comments. Great freelance presentations. You're hired. Yeah, Twilio, if you need a consultant for presenting, I'm your guy, I guess. Do you day trade these, or is your focus on swing kind of trades? I'll answer this question now just because it's Friday. It's the end of the trading week, and I could use a breather on Twilio, to be honest. I see myself as 2 traders in one, and I know that's funky, so let me answer that question. If it's one thing that reading all of ARK Invest stuff has taught me, it's this. You shouldn't be afraid to look 5 years into the future and decide what your opinion of that future is. What's going to win out? What kind of technologies are going to survive? What are not? Who are the lead competitors with an S in the space? Not picking a winner, picking winners, right? Plural. And making a shopping list of all your favorite companies that you have conviction in. And then your job, you have 2 jobs. You're 2 traders in one. One, keep track of that list, right? So is Teladoc still a good company? Is Tesla still a good company? Is Square still a good company, etc.? You're maintaining your list through research. The second thing is, once you have the list, you're free to do whatever you want in the market with that list. I believe Square is good, right? So as I watch the Square stock go down, my conviction in it is going up, right? Because I've already done my research. Square's staying on my list. So the more that price drops, the more returns I think I'm getting in the future, right? Because I'm buying it lower and lower today while Square's business is moving forward one day at a time. They're maturing as a company, right? So when stimulus checks get delayed and all the prices go down, it's like, that didn't affect Square. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not a Square thing, that's a market thing. Okay. And then the opposite is true too. When it rockets up because of some news not related to Square, I know it's time to sell because my research, I know what I think Square is fairly valued at, right? It's whatever. And we have another piece of data. We know what prices ARK Invest is literally buying these stocks at, right? So when you do that, when you maintain a list 5 years out, hey, this is what I think is going to happen 5 years out, that how you operate on that list day to day, day trading, swing trading, holding something long and just like letting it ride out, that's up to you. That's just like how much risk and volatility can you handle as an individual investor? How active versus passive do you want to be? The ultimate active passive solution, by the way, is just throwing your money into ARK Invest, right? So here's that same financial advice banner. I'm going to give you the best non-financial advice I can, right? Like, if you want all the benefits of doing all the research and maintaining the vision with none of the work, there's a company out there that does that for you. Their name is ARK Invest. And what they did is they found 5 key areas in the market they think are going to explode. They maintain research. They publicly publish that research. They publicly publish their trades, right? And then they just go and invest in those things. And you can buy that one thing and be like, okay, healthcare, I never need to think about the future of healthcare. Smart people do that for me. I never need to think about the future of automation. ARK Invest has this great analyst named Tasha Keeney. She's great at her job, so I'm just going to trust her. Here's my money for ARKQ, right? So active passive management, passive being I'm just giving you money and I'm not thinking about it. Active being they're taking my money, doing research and updating that fund every day, right? That's a legit style of investing. People don't give ARK enough credit as they found this hybrid solution that they take a little money for, but really works, and so I would do that. And then as you move down the spectrum, it's like, how much more active do I want to be than that, right? And that's when it's like, okay, I'm going to manage my own top 3 positions and then invest the rest in ARK or whatever, all the way down to I'm going to track ARK's stocks, but pick them individually, trade them individually, right? And just use ARK as a data point, all the way down to hey, I'm day trading. ARK just provides the list of stocks, and now I'm looking at volatility and all of these parameters of the signal, not even the company, and I'm looking for all these different things to decide my entry and exit points minute by minute, right? So the thing that's special about ARK, and the reason I cover it so extensively and exclusively, is they provide that whole spectrum of solutions, the top-down research, the bottom-up stock analysis, the public research, right, et cetera, et cetera. They give you all of that vertical. So hopefully that gives you a sense of, do you day trade these? Do you focus on swing? Sorry, for me personally, I swing trade the crap out of these stocks. Sometimes with terrible success, sometimes with great success, right? And then ARK Invest has always been my cash position. If I can't do better than ARK Invest, why am I throwing money in anything else? So my money is always tied up in ARK Invest until I choose to spend it. So when I'm cash light, I have almost no ARK Invest. And when I'm cash heavy, my portfolio is very heavy ARK Invest. That's the breakdown. So if you looked at my portfolio today, it has almost no ARK Invest because I'm actually fully invested, right? The market dipped, I bought in. If the market is going up, 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 I start taking my gains and putting them back into the underperforming ARK Invest funds because I trust ARK Invest. Excellent. Almost a 40-minute live stream today. Happy Friday. I hope you enjoyed the end of the week live stream. Thank you for attending my put together Twilio presentation, and have a great weekend and a great trading day. This is Ticker Symbol Live. My name is Alex, reminding you that the best investment you can make is in you. Thanks for watching.